Good evening and welcome. Tonight we will be going over the history and geography of Banaadir in Somalia. You can see a little bit. Somalia. Somalia is located in the Horn of Africa and has the longest coastline on the continent. And that's where we're going to be today because Banaadir means coast, and the region surrounds one city in particular, and that is the capital city of Mogadishu. The lines are pretty much just like here. That's it. So tonight we're going to be talking about Mogadishu. Now I tricked some of you. I posted on my community tab making you guys guess what capital cities we're going to go to, and this was the trick answer because I'm going in alphabetical order in every region on my channel. It just so happens that the region that Mogadishu is in starts with the letter B, so we're talking about Mogadishu tonight. Like I said, Mogadishu is the capital of Somalia. It is located here on the coast along the Indian Ocean. There really is not much else to say because it's just a city. The only other significant geographic anything in the area is this river here. This is the Shabelle River, and it comes down from Ethiopia and then makes a sharp turn left and flows this way, which leads to some very fertile farmland around here. It's not in Mogadishu proper, it's not in Banaadir, so we're not going to discuss it tonight, but it is important to the overall history of Mogadishu because you need water to build a society. You need farmland to grow crops, and to build a thriving city you need a way to trade, and the ocean is a great way to do that. So it was a perfect spot for Mogadishu to begin in between farmland and the ocean. This was believed to be a Greek city called Serapion, which had a vast trading network with pretty much every major power that was around in ancient Greece, like the Phoenicians, etc., etc. Peoples all throughout the African coast here and the Mediterranean coast as well. But the city really wasn't truly founded until the 10th century, when it was founded by Arab traders, because like I said, perfect spot, and indeed it thrived in this spot. It has always been a big bustling city because it's just located in a very convenient spot. Not just here on the Indian Ocean where they could trade with Southern Africa, the Arabian Peninsula, the Indian subcontinent, the islands around Indonesia, Malaysia, etc. Huge region of diverse trade. What was I going to say? I just completely lost my train of thought, to be honest. What was I going to say? A fast trading network. I lost my thought listing all the trading centers. It thrived due to its massive trade network. I really forgot what I was going to say. But anyway, it had access to resources in the interior, and it had access to trade from other cities and countries. So a lot of goods went through the port of Mogadishu for many, many, many years. For a while, it was controlled by the Aljuran Sultanate between the 13th and 17th centuries, and it was during this time, around the 15th and 16th centuries, that Mogadishu really had its golden age, where it was really, truly thriving at its peak. It was also around that time that the Portuguese began exploring the African coastline and trying to set up trade networks / conquering. It's trying to find things to make alliances with so that they could swoop in and take it over, essentially. They did fight for Mogadishu. Mogadishu fought back, and the Portuguese never got their hands on it. They remained their own sort of semi-independent city for quite a while. It was actually conquered by the Sultanate of Oman in the 17th century. Oman and Muscat at that time were also massive Indian Ocean traders. In fact, they even moved their capital just a bit farther south from here on the island of Zanzibar in what's now Tanzania. So, control from Zanzibar took place in Mogadishu in 1871. They leased a port in 1892 to the Italians, which had an ever-growing influence in the Horn of Africa. After the European powers started divvying up what parts of Africa they wanted to claim, and Italy pretty much got the entire Red Sea, Indian Ocean, Horn of Africa coastline here. They really wanted Ethiopia. They wanted Eritrea, which was part of Ethiopia then, and they really wanted Somalia. The British also really wanted Somalia. They wanted that Suez Canal access. So once the Italians they actually bought the city in 1905. They purchased it and made it the capital of Italian Somaliland, which is pretty much all of this long coastline. It goes off camera here. That was Italian Somaliland. And of course, the Italians brought in their culture, their food, customs, things like that. And you can still find lots of Italian food and many Italian speakers in Mogadishu today. Just good because I love Italian food. Maybe someday I'll get to visit Mogadishu and I'm probably going to hit up those Italian restaurants. I love Italian food. Of course, conflict occurred after World War II. The British took over the area for a while Italy was doing its little fascist thing. I'm glossing that over for fun, for relaxation purposes. Don't come for me, okay? People grew restless with being controlled by Italy. They wanted independence, of course. Independence protests and movements sprung up here in Mogadishu right after the Italians resumed control in 1945, 1946. They were in full swing by the 1950s. Somalia gained its independence in 1960, and Mogadishu was made the capital. Times were quite rocky. They had their president assassinated. His replacement was overthrown in a coup not much later, 1969. The government was taken over by Mohammed Said Barre, who instituted a totalitarian one-party state, socialists, all the bells and whistles of the typical totalitarian state of the time, allied with the Soviet Union, all those things. And it, for about a decade, things were actually doing really well. Marxism on paper works very well, but it's very hard to implement it perfectly. You need to have everything perfect, and nothing in this world is perfect. So it started off great and started to tank quite suddenly in the 1980s. And by 1991, Somalia was in a full-blown civil war, ousting Barre, and the power vacuum left a lot of violence in its wake. People vying for control. This is when we have the Battle of Mogadishu in 1993. If you've seen the film Black Hawk Down, that movie is about the Battle of Mogadishu, when the United States military was protecting the aid being brought for the Somalians, and they were captured. They were shot down. The Black Hawk helicopter, hence the name. It was a very tough day. It was the bloodiest American battle since the Vietnam War. The dust took a long time to settle, and once it did, it was really replaced with radical Islamists. And of course, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Islam. I'm just saying that radical Islamists essentially took over the government which led to clashes between various groups, which led to even more chaos and famine, homelessness, all of the horrible, horrible things that come with a completely, pretty much anarchist government at that time. This led to the creation of an Islamist group known as Al-Shabaab that made Somalia an absolute nightmare. They went rampaging throughout the country, conquering and controlling and implementing their very strict Sharia law. And it took a while for them to lose control. In Mogadishu, they withdrew in 2011, but that's because they went to spread their influence elsewhere. And it wasn't until then that things started to sort of go back to normal, and it's taken a while for normalcy to return to Mogadishu. But very slowly but surely it is. I would say by now the dust has settled. It's still quite violent. It can still be quite dangerous to be in the city, especially if you're a foreigner. But apparently, from what I've read in the past few years, what is on my fingernail? Do you see this? What is that? Okay. In the past few years, it's calmed down significantly. Infrastructure is being created. Nice homes, hotels, businesses, what have you, fixing roads. And just trying to repair what was ruined here. They've still got a long way to go. But Mogadishu is far, far safer than it was 10 years ago. So things are on the up and up for Mogadishu, which is fantastic news because this city has such an incredible history. 1,000 years of prosperity, essentially, and it should definitely not be destroyed. We shouldn't forget a beautiful city like Mogadishu, which is just a great name, by the way. It's really fun to say Mogadishu. Try it if you haven't. There's not much to see on Google Earth. I'm only going to show you a handful of places. Most places here don't have pictures, or there are people taking selfies, or someone went through and tagged a bunch of pictures that clearly aren't even in like Africa in some of the slideshows, so some of them are a little rough. So I found a couple of places that have actual good slideshows, so I'm very glad because I thought I can't not show Google Earth this time because it's a capital city. I have to. So we're going to do that now. Why don't we head over to the tablet and check out the few things I can show you in Mogadishu. So here you can see Banaadir, and you can see the borders here. I know it's quite deserty around here. You can see Mogadishu takes up this part. All the rest is pretty much, I guess, some type of farmland, but from above it looks like a whole lot of nothing. You can see probably some areas where things used to be, or maybe are being built up. I'm not sure. But maybe it'll be something someday. Let's zoom out so you can see exactly where we are in the world. If you're not quite sure where Somalia or the Horn of Africa is located, that's perfectly fine. It's wonderful to be here to learn. So here's Africa, and this is the Horn of Africa. You can see it's aptly named. And Somalia takes up almost the entire coastline of the Horn. Somaliland is a bit of a footnote in Somalia's geography. Most people consider it part of Somalia. The people there certainly don't, although some do know. It's very complicated. I have videos about, actually I have one video I think about Somaliland. I'll throw my playlist up there so you can check out more about Somalia after this video if you so choose. Fantastic country to learn about. Here's the capital city of Mogadishu, and as you can see, it is sprawling. I have to put the everything filter on to make all the slideshows I want to see pop up, so you're going to see supermarkets and hotels and things. Sprawling city. Just absolutely massive. Big roundabout there. There's lots of memorials and monuments in the city, but they have terrible slideshows, I'm sorry to say. So I'm only going to show you one. Absolutely sprawling city here. A big sight to see is these ruins here. There's an old lighthouse and fortification here. I should have probably researched this a little more. I didn't read too much about it. I assume this is from the Omani/Zanzibar times. You can see what's left of this lighthouse. And it's along this beach, which sadly is just absolutely, completely littered. It's quite devastating, but this is where I assume all the fishermen launch their boats from. It's a good little launching spot. You can see them all lined up there. And all of the rubbish around. But you can see what once was in this spot. Some kind of defensive area, maybe. And again, I'm not sure when it crumbled apart, either from disuse or from the recent violence. Because that's what it used to look like once upon a time. It was all white and beautiful. That's what it looks like now. The actual port is over here. That's not it. It's over here. Okay. Where'd it go? Over here. The big Mogadishu port. You can see all of the containers over there. Another very interesting ruined site that's near here. I gotta find. I have the everything filter on, so that should be easy to find. Let's see. Of course, I promise you guys that I find everything just fine when I'm off camera, but when the minute I hit record, I just completely lose my way. Good Lord. Oh me. Alright, I guess we'll come to that last, because over here I can see, well, I did see for a second. Look at this, by the way. We need a new satellite image because there's this huge cloud over this huge piece of city. Not cool. The National Museum has a really unfortunate slideshow. Here it is. This is the one monument that actually has some pretty good pictures. The Tomb of the Unknown Soldiers. There's the coast there. And the ocean. The beaches are, when they're not littered, they're quite lovely. You can see what it used to look like in this area, kind of the mix between colonial and Art Deco style, characteristic of Italian colonization. Another memorial there. See, this is what I mean, like the slideshows are just kind of this weird mishmash. Big hotel there. There's the port, and here's the memorial. See, it's quite a lot. Look there, there's a big building there. And we get onto the selfie. So yeah, that's the best I can do here, guys. That's one of the better slideshows that I found, if you can believe that. I need to find how crazy that it like popped up immediately when I was looking for it, and it's probably popping up right now, and I'm just completely blind. I know it's over here somewhere. Just one last site that I wanted to show you. Oh, I didn't realize Mogadishu was in 3D. Oh, it's not. That's why. It looked like it was for a second. Well, it's not this far away. It's so strange how blind I get once I hit record. Where'd it go? Oh, is this it? This is it. I found it. This Italian cathedral, which has been completely obliterated, and I believe it was obliterated during the Civil War. So this is what this beautiful Italian cathedral looked like once upon a time. And again, Somalia is very predominantly Muslim. This is clearly here for Italian immigrants, right? This is what it looked like previously. This is what it looks like now. Very, very destroyed. This was in 17. I think it's a bit more ruined now. But it has that kind of aura about it that reminds me of ancient castles in like England and Scotland that are all fallen apart and the roofs are gone and all that's left are these big arches. It reminds me of that. There's still some artwork there. Lots of trash. A lot of it's obviously been defaced, probably during the Al-Shabaab times. Kind of discussed that in yesterday's video of the Bamiyan Buddhas, how extremists, Muslim extremists, don't depict faces in anything because it's against their beliefs. Again, there's nothing wrong with believing that, right? Absolutely nothing wrong. I think there is something wrong with defacing beautiful art, though. But that's what a lot of Mogadishu looked like once upon a time. And as you can see, it is making a comeback, which is spectacular. And maybe in another 10 years, it will be even more peaceful. Over here's the Via Somalia. This is like the White House, where the president lives here in Somalia, decorated with Somali flags. And it looks like a lot of these photos were taken during COVID times. See, there's a lot of masked pictures in these slideshows. And I'm sure someone will tell me, I saw this, I didn't look it up. There's a Villa Hargeisa, and I wonder if that's the government for Somaliland. If anyone wants to correct me or confirm that, I'd appreciate that. One of you knows. What is this? Let's see if this will give us a slideshow. Beautiful mosque of Islamic solidarity. I like that. It's very white, isn't it? Beautiful interior. It's a big sprawling city. Wow. See, is this in Somalia? I'm not sure. That definitely is. There's the minaret. Look at that. Like a Ottoman style mosque. Is that here? Is that the same mosque? Let me see. I don't think that is. See, a lot of the pictures in these slideshows just aren't of Somalia. Like maybe that is in Somalia. That slideshow wasn't that good, actually, I remember. Maybe it is. Maybe it's somewhere else in the city, but I do not know. But anyway, I'm going to end it here, unfortunately. I wish there was more to show you, but I combed through a lot of slideshows and they are not great, to be honest. So we're going to end it there. I wonder if I just highlight the city slideshow. We can see, oh yeah, see there's the Ottoman style mosque. Really beautiful. Let's look at this slideshow and see if we can see anything nice about the city while I close out the video. Thank you so much for watching. See, look at that. There is a beautiful Ottoman style mosque there. That's wonderful. If you enjoyed this style of content, please consider subscribing. We're about to hit 4 capital cities in a row. We got Mogadishu. Next we're going to Bangkok, then Bangui and Banjul. 4 capital cities in a row. So be sure to subscribe so you won't miss out. You don't want to miss Thailand because there's not a lot of pictures here in Mogadishu. There's far too many in Thailand. Half the video is going to be Google Earth, so if you liked this style of content, be sure to subscribe now. If you learned something new in this video, give it a little thumbs up right now. I'd appreciate that. And let me know down in the comments what cool fact you learned. That was a perfectly good slideshow. I hope that you found this video to be relaxing and educational, and I hope that you have a good night. Good night.